What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the New Era Prep Show here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm your host, Christian Proscia, and I am very tired, ladies and gentlemen. Just drove back from Orlando from last night's FAU versus UCF men's basketball game. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But first off, before we get into things, I do want to send my thoughts and prayers to my good friend Robbie Listella. His dog Spice isn't feeling too hot. She's at the vet, getting checked out right now. So Spice is a regular on a lot of Bleacher Brothers programming. Do want to give a shout out to one of the best pups out there, and Spice because Robbie's cool, I guess too. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we are 48 hours away from the majority of our playoff openers. Tomorrow, we get things started with Miami Columbus versus Spanish River. We're going to talk about that game in a minute. But playoff hopes are high across the state of Florida. 256 teams are in. There can only be one state champion per class, so there's really only 8 state champions. But 256 enter, only 8 come out alive. We're going to talk about all things Palm Beach County going into the playoffs. My final unbiased thoughts on each squad and their round one matchups. Obviously, as the postseason progresses, we're going to keep barreling through and narrowing the list until hopefully we have a couple friends playing down in Pitbull Stadium. Dale, ladies and gentlemen, Dale. So with I think it's good time, and let's start it up, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, we're going to start with our rural division, where we got Pahokee versus Chipley. Immediately looking at the rural division and breaking down a lot of film, I've seen a lot of good running backs come out of this division, including Pahokee's Rayshawn Brown, Hawthorne's Keenan Johnson, and Union County's Drew Simmons alongside Jason McDaniel from Madison County. Those guys immediately stand out to me, damn near averaging 75 to 100 yards a night. Overwhelming majority of them in their senior campaigns, they're hoping to come out with a ring. So I do want to talk about those guys because I think across this class, it's going to be a very ground and pound class. That's something that I saw on the film breakdown for a lot of teams. Pahokee, no exceptions, and Chipley, no exceptions either. If you guys missed last Saturday's episode of this show, immediately after the playoff selection, something that me and Cade from ESPN West Palm both came to the consensus of is every game Pahokee is getting better. Coach Lemons, in his first season with the Blue Devils, has led a struggling program or a historic program from the muck that's had a couple down years into being, in my opinion, a contender in their region. Pahokee, very stacked squad, obviously offensively. Rayshawn Brown is really headlining things. I'm really high on Rayshawn Brown. I think that he deserves a lot more notoriety across South Florida, especially in the Palm Beach area and in the recruiting scenes. I think Rayshawn Brown is going to carry the workload a lot throughout this postseason. We're going to talk about a lot of workhorse backs tonight, but I do want to open things with Rayshawn Brown. I love his ability of being active in the passing game as well. I think Brown is an X factor that you really can't game plan for defensively with his ability to be elite, both on the ground, obviously, but also in the quick RPO game, which is the name of the game of modern football. So I do think that Rayshawn Brown is going to give Chipley a lot of nightmares. Previously, taking things back to last Saturday's episode about the Pahokees getting better every weekend comments. Since Pahokee started their season, really through spring ball, they've just gotten better and better. Lost to Martin County in their spring game. Lost the regular season opener to Palm Beach Central. Just from there, completely different team than not even 6 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, and then different team from 6 weeks ago, and so forth. This team is getting better. They're getting used to playing amongst each other, And all in all, I think that Pahokee is a team that is a must-watch in the rural division. Obviously, the rural division does not play in the Pitbull Stadium. Actually, they play. Let me find it. They played their championship game. If the FHSAA website wants to load, because I forgot to write that down, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna circle back to that in a minute. But yeah, Pahokee I think is going to do very well throughout this throughout this region. I'm very high on the Blue Devils and what they're going to bring this postseason. They are not playing in the rural tournament. Um, Instead, they're playing in the actual rural, because there's two tournaments. The rural tournament is this is the inaugural year. There we go. Can't talk. Still can't say that word. First year of them doing that. Very interested to keep my eyes on what's going to happen out there. But doesn't affect Pahokee, doesn't affect Moorhaven at all. Rural state championships will be held in the villages on December 6th. Kickoff time has not been announced. So yeah, just wanted to say once again, not playing at Pitbull Stadium. Plan your trips accordingly. You don't need to drive through that Miami traffic if you are a Pahokee fan, if you don't need to. Avoid that traffic like the plague, because guess what? Miami traffic sucks, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if anybody's picked up on that yet. Taking things to our friends from 1A. This is a big year for the 1A, and especially the Palm Beach teams in 1A, because immediate thoughts is Chaminade Madonna is not in the same region as Cardinal Newman and Benjamin anymore. That is huge for playoff implications throughout our county. I think that both teams are seriously going to benefit from this, because what we're used to is a first round beat up Newman and Benjamin, and then the winner advances to get their season ended by Chaminade Madonna. That's not happening this year. I think both Newman and Benjamin are in prime position to make the regional final. Just looking at both of their brackets, on one side of Region 3, Cardinal Newman hosts and Evangelical Christian. There we go. This upcoming week, and then should move on, win, and advance the next week, where they'll face off the winner of the community school and Newman, not Cardinal Newman, but we might get Newman on Newman action. And then on the other side, Benjamin's traveling to Northside Christian in St. Pete, because despite Benjamin being a higher seed, Northside Christian does host a playoff game due to being the district champion. And then finally, on the other side of that bracket, First Baptist Academy hosts the Southwest Florida. There we go. I need water, guys. I haven't drank water all day because I've been driving. Don't recommend doing that. But about both of our squads. So, like I said, I could see both of them playing in the regional final against one another. That would be really cool to get even bigger lights on one of our more storied rivalries, especially come playoff time. As far as Cardinal Newman, I think they're going to run away with a win over Evangelical Christian. I think Newman's offense is fireworks. Very balanced offense, being able to have Jaron Hewley out at quarterback with his dual threat ability. Everybody knows how good the Snowman is, and damn, is he a good quarterback. Out wide, you got guys like Max Redman, who plays both ways, and Zamari Sanders immediately comes to mind. Then in the backfield is where I really want to hone in on things and talk about Jalen Brown, 3-star running back, Louisville commit. J-Bo's averaged or finished with just under 1,000 yards rushing from scrimmage on the year, averaging about 115 yards and 1.5 touchdowns per game throughout 8 games. I think J-Bo is the clear X factor of this game. Get him activated early and watch Newman put running clock on these kids. That's all I got to say. Jalen Brown is going to do his thing, but then if you try to game plan against the run, just know that you got to worry about Redmond, you got to worry about Sanders. And in case anybody's not familiar with Zamari Sanders, being one of the fastest players in South Florida, being an absolute track demon, setting multiple state records out at American Heritage Plantation last year. Um, yeah, that's what he's brought to this offense. Defensively, guys that immediately come to mind is another two-way player, Zanai Scott, plays a little bit of running back, plays a little bit of tight end, but also plays safety. The Illinois commit looks really good this year. I think he's going to be huge in the secondary alongside the aforementioned Max Redman, who I think is going to once again hold down the island. Not really getting targeted this year. For every target is giving up basically no catches, and then obviously no yards come off of that. And that's also due to a dominating performance from Newman's front seven, which is headlined by senior Brendan King. Brendan King, absolute game wrecker. Absolute game wrecker. He's a force to be reckoned with. And college coaches that are watching, his phone is still open. He is uncommitted. 3-star edge rusher. You're getting an absolute dog to your program. Holds multiple offers. Recruiting process is still wide open. Come give him a nice little sales pitch. Come give him some NIL. That's all I got to say. Taking things over to Benjamin versus Northside Christian. This is going to be the Phoenix Dongia show. Phoenix is an absolute unit. Same thing like I've spoken about Rayshawn Brown and Jalen Brown. Phoenix is going to run all over the place. Phoenix runs like he hates the ground and is actively trying to kill the ground. I think Phoenix, same thing, is going to have well over 100-yard performance. And Phoenix's biggest attribute and strength is his ability to get yards after contact. And by that, I mean there is 5 to 6 guys hanging on for dear life on this kid's shoulder pads, and he is still not going down, and he is still running like a cracked out Angry Bird. Also offensively for the Benjamin Bucks, quarterback Jaden Vega, Brown commit. Yep, that's right. Jaden Vega is a nerd, ladies and gentlemen. Jaden Vega is primed for a big game. I think a big beneficiary of that game is going to be Preston Douglas, who I think has been waiting for that breakout game for the past couple of weeks now. He's had a couple banger games intermittently throughout the year, but I think playoff Douglas is going to make himself known. Be very, very careful when trying to game plan against Benjamin's offense because same thing. Defend the run, and they are going to pick you apart, especially with the tight end. I like a Benjamin blowout against Northside Christian. Unfortunately, they get to end somebody's season in their own place. Give me Newman and Benjamin moving on to next week. St. John Paul versus Chaminade. This is still in 1A, still a 1A matchup. As previously stated, Chaminade Madonna no longer faces off against Cardinal Newman or Benjamin in their region. They would be meeting in either the state Final Four or the state championship. I believe it would be primed for a state championship berth, pending they both make it. They will. St. John Paul versus Chaminade. This is the St. John Paul has had a very good year. First year under Coach Hunt, coming back to the program, taking all of his coaching knowledge that he's had over the years at Atlantic High and the success he's had as a Eagles coach, taking it to St. John Paul, having a turnaround year on the year. Offensively, Tim Coakley, what a year for the kid. Just under 1,000 yards, over 10 touchdowns on the year. He is everything offensively runs through Coakley, also being receiving over 150 receiving yards, I believe, on the year. Unfortunately, they do get Chaminade in the first round. Everybody knows Chaminade Madonna, national powerhouse. Having guys on that team, 4-star quarterback, Penn State commit Beckham Kritza, 4-star Auburn commit wide receiver Denarius Gray, the number 1 ATH athlete two-way player in the country, Derek Cooper, and Jason Lopez, 4-star receiver, and Hooper. He is a 4-star in both football and basketball. Chaminade's offense is no joke. And like I said, it's just Every game is just leading up to a state championship berth for Chaminade. Unfortunately, St. John Paul does get the nod boys in the first round. Taking things over to St. Andrews versus Archbishop Carroll, same region. I think this is actually going to be a relatively tame and contained game. I don't have a prediction on the winner. I think this one can go either way. I'm going to be biased and give it to the Scotties, though. St. Andrews offense, Jack Williams really getting into his stride as the Scotties starting quarterback. Part of that is due to the elite performances of three-star Notre Dame wide receiver commit Dylan Faison, who is playing like a Notre Dame commit. Being able to play both sides, running them out of Wildcat occasionally. St. Andrews, everything runs through Faison, both offensively and defensively. On defense, the Scotties they got an elite front seven. Linebacker Oliver Vickers Murphy had one hell of a year, being one of the top linebackers in our area. Pulling up one more stat, Ethan Friesel, edge rusher, just set the Scotties program record for career sacks on the year. Do want to talk about him and the impact that he's going to have on this game. I'm expecting a very good game in the trenches from St. Andrews Scotties. I will never doubt out a Jimmy Robertson-led football team. I think St. Andrews is going to come away with the win on this one. 1 second, let me just pull up one more stat. Yes, St. Andrews is hosting this game as well. That's what I needed to pull up. So once again, if you're in the greater South Florida area and particularly the Boca Raton area, and you want to actually watch some good football for the first time all season, because I don't know what FAU football is doing, take your talents to St. Andrews or West Boca, because they will both be hosting high school playoff games. Like I said, out of 1A, I see Cardinal Newman, Benjamin, and St. Andrews advancing on to next week. St. John Paul, I am so sorry that you guys have Chaminade on the docket. One hell of a year for St. John Paul. Do not forget that, and the lengths that this program has gone to in such a short amount of time. Bringing things over to 2A right now. We got Somerset Canyons traveling to number 1 seed Cardinal Mooney in their region. My biggest question is, how does Somerset counter Cardinal Mooney's elite passing offense? Cardinal Mooney loves to air that ball out, ladies and gentlemen. They're throwing for 300-400 yards a game, having receivers well over 100 yards on the night. It's going to be no small task for the set DB room. Immediate first thought is run Wade and Charles out at safety. Possibly run Tay Brisky out at safety as well. I like him more at corner, but definitely getting Wade and Charles up top. Just because I'm not being biased when I say I will take Wade and Charles on a jump ball over any player in the state. I think that's the type of guy that you're getting on your offensive production, and that's also very helpful defensively. I think Wade needs to really fortify the defensive front. Front seven for Somerset Canyons, you got elite guys like Wiz Sterling, Marco Saberson, Javon Hatcher. Sterling just set the program record for single season sacks with, I believe, 12. Very, very good year for the youngin from Boynton Beach, Wiz Sterling. I expect him to be a nightmare. He's going to need to get in the backfield a lot. Offensively, Somerset has one of the more balanced offenses in our area. Quarterback Jaden Harrington, running back DJ Mans will be back. Darian Darby will be in at running back as well. They'll probably run a 2-back set. And then having the previously mentioned Wade and Charles, Tay Brisky, and then Jay Phipps out wide. And then another safety net that needs to be exploited is tight end Caio Santos. Let's get the tight ends involved this weekend during the playoffs. We got 4 elite tight ends in our Palm Beach area. It's National Tight Ends Day this weekend. We're bringing it back. National Tight Ends Weekend. To all those that celebrate, get your guys involved, especially your big guys. Another one, Calvary versus Kings. This game gives me flashbacks to my high school days. We do not have fond memories of Cavalry versus Kings. That is the full, honest truth. Cavalry has been known to end a Kings season every now and again. This is another one where Cavalry is also, or Kings is a district champion yet, but they have to travel to Cavalry because one, they're the higher seed, and then two, because they're also district champions. Name of the game for TKA: get Javian Jones active. But like Cade from ESPN West Palm stated, Javian is coming into this game with a massive target on his forehead. They are going to be double, tripling him. They're going to have there's going to be over the top help. There's going to be probably over the middle help as far as containing Javian Jones, because Kings' offense runs through Jones, is what non-ball knowers would say. Yes, Javian Jones right under 1,000 yards on the year, just under 10 touchdowns on the year. I believe he had 8, but also 6 interceptions and 2 pick sixes on the year defensively. Kings has just as good of talent with wide receiver Matt McPherson, getting tight end Hudson Champion active. Like I said, get your tight ends the ball today or this weekend. Let's do it. Get those guys active in the passing game. In the running back room, they got a 3-headed monster: Aiden Ramsey, Tristan Stewart, Michael Mesa. I'm expecting one of those guys to be feature back. It'll probably be Stewart out the gate, and then they'll just keep going to whoever's the hot legs, rotating fresh legs in. Kings' defense is going to have problems coming against a good Cavalry offense, like I said about Somerset. I think TKA's defense is going to have to create pressure, and that's something that they have done very well throughout the year. Getting guys like Nick Darling, Ryan Faisal, Levi Champion, Koski Nukata, get those guys active in the backfield, apply pressure early, make Cavalry's quarterback uncomfortable. Make him play knowing that the South Florida leader in tackles, Levi Champion, is breathing down his neck over the middle every time. Make him know that there is a 6'4", 2 6'4" edge rushers coming from either side, because eventually keep pressuring him and he's going to shut down. That's my sales pitch to TKA. And then if this poor son of a gun tries to throw, you better not throw on Jones, because Jones is breaking up that pass. He's picking it off. And if he picks it off, statistically speaking, he's probably going to return it for a touchdown. So do with that information what you will, Cavalry. There's a full scouting report on TKA Cavalry. Final game in 2A for the weekend is Glades Central versus Lakewood. This is a game I'm very interested in. Running through the muck, I think Glade Central is going to have a very nice afternoon ahead of them. I'm very high on Armud Stinfort. Excuse me. I seriously can't talk today. Senior running back, averaging well over 115 yards per game, 1.5 touchdowns on the day per max preps. This kid is very good, ladies and gentlemen. I really am high on Stinfort and what he has brought to Glade Central's offense. Like I said, a lot of ground and pound out of the muck. Him and Rayshawn Brown have absolutely killed it this year. I'm expecting a very strong afternoon for Stinfort. Taj Barnes, quarterback, has the ability to make plays with his legs and his arm as well. I think his dual threat ability is just as hard to game plan against than guys like Kings' Joe Daly and Newman's Jiren Hewley and Central's Chance Routes. And when it comes to elite dual threat guys, he's in the discussion with those top talents. Unfortunately, I do not think it is going to be a very strong weekend coming out of 2A for the 561. Leading into the games, I have Somerset and Kings taking L's this weekend, and Glade Central coming out on top. So Glade Central will move on to next week's matchup per my projections. Also, clip all of this. I would love, please upset upset, 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 and then post it all over your Instagram stories and all over your Twitters and say that Christian Proch is an idiot. I know you guys say it anyway. At least I'm giving y'all some material. Prove me wrong. Upsets. I want to see it. Let's go. Taking things over to 5A, we got one represented team, Atlantic. One seed Atlantic for one of the first times in a long time. St. Thomas Aquinas is not a one seed in their region. When Atlantic runs the table with this region, and when St. Thomas runs the table with their side of the bracket, all things lead to Delray Beach, ladies and gentlemen. Atlantic takes on Mater Academy. I think this one's going to be a blowout. I said pre-show analysis to somebody, the one and only JP Tyrone. I said Lincoln Graff is going to have 6 touchdowns on the night. 2 of those I got going to Teddy Hoffman, 1 on the ground, 1 to James Jones, and 1 to Kimari Walcott. I'm also going to give DeAndre Desner 1 touchdown on the night. I think Atlantic's offense is going to be fireworks, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm projecting for this game, is total Atlantic offensive domination. And then on the defensive side, Mater Academy is not going to have an ounce to breathe. Atlantic having one of the top front sevens in our area, fortified by the linebacker duo, Sam Bryant and Moise Paul. Huge pickups for Atlantic this past offseason, have really held over the middle very well, providing veteran leadership and hard-hitting abilities. Atlantic is the team to beat as far as their 5A region. They have a couple hard teams too that hopefully they're going to be matched up against later at Pitbull Stadium, whether it's Manatee, Niceville, Lakeland, or Tampa Tech, Edgewater. Those are all teams that come to mind. But those are way down the line, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to talk about that too much. I've got Atlantic running the table with Mater Academy, like I said. Moving on to the winner of Miramar versus Heritage. Not Heritage Plantation, once again, just normal Heritage. As far as St. Thomas Aquinas, they got North Miami. They're going to run the table with them. And then the winner of Blanche Ely versus Coconut Creek, it'll probably be Ely versus St. Thomas. And then the winner of that goes on to face the winner of Atlantic, Miramar Heritage. That's my thoughts on 5A. And then finally, we got 2 more. There we go. We got so much time, ladies and gentlemen. Taking things to 6A. This is the hardest bracket in FHSAA football this year. 6A is filled with talent across the brim. So many elite teams in this area. Armwood, Armwood, Nice, Mandarin, Oviedo, Buchholz, Osceola, Monarch, Miami Southridge, and then West Boca. I think West Boca is going to come out on top on Friday against Steinbrenner. I'm confident in this one, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because Javian Mallory show. Javian Mallory has had pretty much off weekends every single week. He's played in the big games, if West Boca is trailing, Javian Mallory comes in and seals the deal. However, relatively fresh legs under him, especially nearing towards playoff time. Did not play against Royal Palm. J3, I'm expecting a very massive playoff for Mallory. I think he's going to have a serious impact on a lot of these games. Unfortunately, you can't game plan just against Javian Mallory. One, because the dude does not like to get tackled. And then also because West Boca has that running back tandem featuring Jaden Lockhart especially, and multiple other top-end running backs. Also offensively, Mason Mallory has developed so much from spring ball to kickoff classic, but then also from kickoff classic to Wednesday, November 13th. Really seeing a lot of improvements in Mallory's game, as well as Trey Moran, his dual threat quarterback, because West Boca likes to run a 2 QB set. And then they got elite receivers Mark Hannaford, Jaden Elder, Billy Clancy, Kyle Andrews. Defensively, West Boca has the best defensive lineman in South Florida. Xavier Reed is going to have a massive impact on this game alongside his brother Maxwell Reed, Demetrius Gathers, just to name a couple other guys. In the secondary, Damon Allen, Jaden Brodnax are going to hold things to islands. I don't recommend trying to throw on those guys either. That's all I got to say about that. West Boca should run through the region pretty handedly. But another game throughout this region is Wiregrass Ranch versus Royal Palm Beach. Um, I think Royal Palm is trending in the right direction as a program, especially this year 3 under Coach Kenyon. I like the Wildcats' chances in this, but I do think Wiregrass is going to defend home field. So I think West Boca makes it through the next round. Royal Palm gets eliminated this weekend. 7A. Really like the talent in 7A, especially out of Palm Beach County. First, I want to talk about Jupiter versus Treasure Coast. I think Jupiter's offense is going to be very hard for Treasure Coast defense to game plan against. Running back Chris Van Horn has had an incredible year in 2024. I think Van Horn is one of the key X factors in this game, alongside quarterback Andrew Embick, who has only gotten better as the year progressed, and wide receiver KJ Larson, just to name a couple guys. Defensively, linebacker Nico Casella and defensive back Jaden Jackson immediately come to mind. I think they're going to have very strong outings as well. I don't really expect a lot to be given up in the passing game because Treasure Coast runs a wing T offense, and I like their front seven's chances against the wing T. So give me Jupiter coming out of this one. Palm Beach Central versus Fort Pierce Central. In case you guys have missed the past 2 episodes, I've been very high on Palm Beach Central this matchup. I think they're going to run through the first round just because Fort Pierce Central does not have the defensive firepower to game plan against Palm Beach Central's offense. Quarterback Chance Routson, just over 2,000 total yards on the year. Wide receivers, Nedrick Bolding, Kimari Williams, and Preston Parker alongside tight end Mattis Gibson. Throw Gibson the ball because he's a tight end. Happy National Tight Ends Weekend. Excuse me. Really, oh my goodness, there we go. Really like Palm Beach Central in this matchup. Sorry, I got water down the wrong pipe. It happens to the best of us. That's all I'm going to say. Palm Beach Central is going to go out and dominate this matchup, taking things to next round where they'll probably face off against Vero Beach. Defensively, Palm Beach Central's defense is going to shut down Fort Pierce Central. Front seven, McCullen's Innocent, Brian Hall, Nas Ware, linebackers Antoine Sharp, and David Harmon. It's just going to be clamps throughout the entirety of the game. Do not try to run the ball. That is not going to happen. Palm Beach Central secondary may give up a couple big plays or two, but I do think that Palm Beach Central's offense is going to keep this game far beyond reach. Final part of their bracket, final part of the 7A bracket is Region 4, where first game I want to talk about is Columbus versus Spanish River. I think Spanish River's had an incredible year. Being able to battle back a quarterback injury. Champ Smith is just now coming back for playoffs. He's ready to go. He's fired up. Blake Wallace is going to have an incredible game. As always, Terrell Ocean, running back, is going to have a great game. As always, once again, another guy that's averaging 65 to 75 yards a game. Really high on Spanish River's offense. Unfortunately, they do get matched up against Miami Columbus, and I do believe Miami Columbus comes out on top for this one. Santa Lucius versus South Dade. I think this is going to be a relatively close game. How Santa Lucius can make this not a relatively close game. Izzy Marion. Izzy Marion has been playing like a county MVP this year. Marion has been a dominant X factor. You can't game plan against him. Um, Something that he was doing very well against Park Vista in the season finale was understanding the reads of Palm Beach Central's Park Vista's linebackers. If they were shifting more inside, he bounced it outside. The second they went outside, he just punched it right up the middle. I think Marion is the clear X factor on this game. Santa wants to win this game. Let's get Marion active. Consistently averaging 2-3 touchdown performances practically every Friday. Another guy offensively, Michigan commit Jamar Browder. 6'4", 3-star wide receiver. Provides an elite jump ball ability that I don't believe South Dade's defense, especially their secondary, has the ability to counteract. Browder, I think, is playing like one of the top receivers in our area as well. I expect him to be a huge safety net for Santa Lucia's quarterback duo, George Shepard, Chris Siska. Whichever one they're consistently running with, because they do alternate, I think is going to find safety in both Browder and in Izzy Marion. Finally, last game we got is Boca Raton versus Goldman. Boca High taking on Goldman. We've got, I think, one of the more evenly matched games coming into this week. I've said it multiple times. Get Jordan Davis active. He's ready for this game. He's ready for his big breakout postseason. And I do believe that Jordan Davis is going to have a great postseason. Other wide receivers that have the potential to snap are Caden Ayala and Jaden Blakely's. And then finally on the defensive side, I've talked about Brody Castolo so many times over the past couple weeks. And Amir Holsick, I think, has the potential to have a very strong game as well. Going out of 7A, I do once again believe Palm Beach Central runs the table round one, going in against Fort Pierce Central. Jupiter High should beat Treasure Coast. I believe Santa Lucia's has the potential to beat South Dade. I'm going to give it to Santa. Spanish River, I do believe, falls to Miami Columbus, and Boca High comes out on top of Goldman in a nail-biter. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the full breakdown and analysis on these games for Thursday night and Friday night. Once again, if I'm a complete idiot, tell me in the comments. I am totally fine with it. Y'all know I love to interact with you. By all means, screen record, save, whatever you got to do this episode. Prove me wrong. I love being proven wrong. Flame me on social media. Tell me I'm an idiot. I am totally fine with it. Prove me wrong. Make me eat my words, and I will give you more than flowers. You will get the edible arrangements fruit bouquet. Figuratively, not literally. Y'all must really think I'm made of money if I can do that. Finally, something I do want to talk about before taking things to a break. We're going to switch gears from high school football to FAU basketball for a couple minutes at the end. But last thing I do want to talk about. I've brought it up multiple times. The last time a Palm Beach County team has made a state title berth was 2018, when Kings Academy faced off against Chaminade Madame. The last time a Palm Beach County team has won a state title game was 2013 Dwyer. It is time, Palm Beach County. Let's get ourselves a state championship ring. And I do believe we have the teams to do it this year. My projection, I have 5 Palm Beach teams poised for, at the very least, a state Final Four run. Those teams being Atlantic High, Cardinal Newman, West Boca, Palm Beach Central, and Pahokee. I think that these teams have the firepower on their squad, and they have the matchups throughout the postseason to make this happen. Like I said, whether it's personnel, playoff bracket, bit of both, or by the grace of God, before a high school football playoff game kicks off tomorrow night, I'm projecting 5 state Final Four runs. At the very least, I'm projecting 3 state championship bids. I am not telling you who that is, and I've got 2 projected state champions. Um, so what do I mean by that? I believe in y'all. Bottom line, I believe in Palm Beach County and the ability this year to make some things shake. Let's get it done. But with that being said, sorry, it went all serious. My voice went all serious during that monologue. That was cool. Felt like Batman. But we're going to take a quick little break here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm going to get some water. I am more than thirsty. When we come back, we're going to talk about FAU UCF basketball. Stay tuned. We will be right back. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the New Era Prep Show here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I am a very refreshed Christian Proscia. Just had the best sip of water in my life. I'm ready to come back, and we're going to talk about some FAU hoops for a quick second. I don't know if anybody saw yesterday. Myself, Robbie, and Drew were in attendance in UCF for UCF FAU. Obviously, very good game. First initial reaction is what a game. Obviously, FAU did not win, falling short. 100-94 was the final. But what a game. That was one of the best games of basketball I have watched in a very long time. I am more than hyped for this week or for this college basketball season. I believe there's multiple teams in the state of Florida that have the potential of doing very good things on the college basketball scene, FAU being one of them, UCF being another. I believe Miami makes a run at the ACC title this year, and I believe the University of Florida has the potential of doing very well as well this year. For the Owls, very strong performance, especially early in the game. First couple of minutes, shots were going in. I thought I was watching like the Heat play basketball, except our coach is extremely better than the Heat, and especially our general manager, because God forbid that Pat Riley could make a positive move in the offseason. But enough about that, because we're not going to talk about that, because I will get ranting like I used to do about the Marlins. Where was I? There we go. Kiki Tandy had a strong game, 11 points. Owls being led by Leland Walker, 20 points. 6 for 11 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. Really liked what I saw out of Leland. Really happy with what I saw out of Leland offensively. Other guys offensively, Baba Miller had his welcome to FAU game, 14 points, 5 of 11, shooting 2 of 6 from 3, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. However, Baba did foul out at the end of that game. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Nico Moretti has been quietly a gem for this squad, coming off the bench most games. 9 points, 1 of 1 from 3, 2 of 4 from the field, and 3 assists alongside one very nice dunk for my great Italian friend. Very loved what I saw out of Nico Moretti. And then finally, Caleb Glenn, 17 points, 5 for 9 shooting, 2 for 4 from three, and 5 rebounds. Very, very good performance from our Louisville transfer. Unfortunately, Jaden Ivy Curry likes to play very well when he plays against FAU. 22 points, 6 for 12 from the field, 4 of 8 from three, alongside a 26-point performance from Keyshawn Hall, 9 of 14 from the field, 2 for 3 from three. Very nice game for Keyshawn Hall as well. Those guys were tearing up FAU. So I do want to talk about this one. Obviously, first regular season loss in the Jacobs era at FAU. I'm not going to give a moral victory. If I do that, Robbie will probably drive to Boca and beat my ass on television. So we're not going to do that. Big positive comes out of offense, though. I believe shots weren't falling, especially in the mid part of the game. They kept shooting. They kept applying pressure offensively. It was little mistakes that were nipping them in the butt offensively, but the overwhelming majority of it was good looks, just couldn't connect the shot. Defensively, though, FAU has issues against three balls. I said it after the St. Leo exhibition. St. Leo was shooting the three ball like they were the 2016 Warriors. I thought that the NAIA squad out of I don't even know where had Steph Curry on their team because St. Leo was just pounding the three ball, and UCF did the exact same thing. And because of it, if you look at their 3-point percentages, they're shooting 46 from three, 13 of 28 for a true statistic. UCF is a very good basketball team, obviously just kicking off the season, upsetting number 13 Texas A&M. But as far as perimeter defense, FAU needs to get on that quick. The Owls will travel to Charleston, where they will face off against College of Charleston and Liberty in the Field of 68 Charleston Challenge. They'll play against Charleston on Friday, Saturday against Liberty. Should both be relatively strong wins for the Owls. I think FAU goes 2-0 in this tournament. I bring this up because FAU needs to win these games, obviously. This UCF game has potential of being a quad 1, high quad 2 matchup. FAU is not going to see a quad 1 matchup for a couple days. I don't believe either Charleston or Liberty will finish inside those quadrants. Oklahoma State has potential when they go back to Charleston for the ESPN Events Classic. Beat Oklahoma State, and then you take on Miami, the winner of Miami-Drake, which is going to be Miami. And Miami is going to be one of those Q1 games that is weighted on their schedule for a possible at-large March bid pending a conference championship. I would love a conference championship, but I'm not going to write it in stone yet. Memphis is a very good basketball team. I hate to say that. And then finally, another Q1 opportunity may come later in this game, beating Miami against Seton Hall. Shouldn't really get another Q1 opportunity until a couple days before Christmas when the Owls travel to Michigan State. And then throughout the AAC schedule, I can really only see Memphis, maybe Temple, being a Q1 opportunity. High Q2s will probably end up being Wichita State, maybe UAB, maybe USF. But there we have it. That's my FAU basketball spiel. Did want to talk about that because I was there yesterday and because Robbie's not on the air for the next couple days. So that's my initial thoughts on FAU basketball this week. He'll be on Inside the Borough tomorrow night, I believe. Tune into that, as always. Listen to Robbie Yap. He's a lot more articulate than me most days when I get going. Y'all know it just goes completely left field. Bringing up FAU basketball for another reason of, yes, New Era Prep will be covering multiple rounds of college basketball. We're planning on getting live coverage from Bleacher Brothers and New Era Prep of FAU in Miami, obviously, because that's me. We're going to have boots on the ground at FIU, and we're going to have projected boots on the ground at UCF. Had some good talks with the great people at UCF. We're going to make some things shake. I'm going to find me an Orlando photographer and reporter. If you're in the greater Orlando area and you like taking pictures of UCF sports or want to take pictures of UCF sports, or you want to write about UCF sports, please hit my DMs at New Era Prep on Instagram or Era Prep on Twitter. We will find you. Please. We would love all the help we can get. We're not capping off at only college basketball. We're going to keep our roots centered with the high school basketball coverage as well. Wanted to bring that up because I know the season is right around the corner. Expect a lot of high school basketball coverage from especially our high school student interns, Riley, J. Bart, Samantha, Lilmar. They'll be killing the coverage, but then also a couple of us, myself, Dan, Alex, Deontay, will be boots on the ground across the greater South Florida area, just trying to get some good high school basketball content. I can't commit to anything crazy high school basketball. It is going to be a day-by-day basis for me because I'm going to be splitting time with FAU and Miami. I'm projected to be doing a lot of traveling. AJ, pretty please. So I literally, if I have a free day, I'm hoping to be covering high school basketball. That's where this show is going to go at the end of this season. Is we're going to segue things into high school basketball, into from there high school, hopefully high school lacrosse, high school baseball, track and field, the whole 9 yards. Just wanted to give a brief overview what y'all could be expecting over the next couple months. Because when all roads end in Pitbull Stadium on December 14th for the last state championship game, this show's still going to be around. We'll also be around at the local 7-on-7s. We'll be throughout the recruiting scene. We'll be big in and around that. But yeah, I do appreciate everybody once again for tuning into tonight's episode of the New Era Prep Show, hosted by yours truly on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I hope everybody has a great rest of your night. Once again, best of luck to every team competing for a state title. I wish you guys nothing but the best. New Era Prep wishes you nothing but the best, and we are excited to cover you in your journey to greatness. Hope everybody has a great night, and I will see you guys next Monday. Have a good one.